and there's still time.
Well, ahoy hoy, and welcome to episode 114 of There's Still Time, the AFTN podcast. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Steve Pander.
And we haven't learned our lesson from last week. We're recording this podcast live from WFC2's game against Arizona United at Thunderbird Stadium. So, we're cock-a-hoop today. The Whitecaps got back to winning ways at BC Place. 2-1 win over Real Salt Lake. We're going to kind of look over the game a little bit, look ahead to what's in store, have a look at the new turf, variety of things. We've also got some fun audio we're going to bring you from a couple of the players as well. But first thing to look at, Steve, 2-1 win over Salt Lake, very entertaining game, end-to-end stuff at some points in the second half as well, and all round a very good day for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, the game flowed. We were talking about it during the game. The second half just went by so fast. Was wondering where the time went. Like you said, great end-to-end stuff. A couple of fantastic goals, especially in the first half by two midfielders.
Yeah, before we get to the goals, it was a bit of a slow start to the game for both teams. I think they were trying to sound each other out.
And the turf too.
Yeah, sound out the new turf as well. Whitecaps had the best chance to take the lead. Gershon Koffie, 24th minute, crashed a shot off the crossbar where he really should have scored.
Yeah, and it's a goal where if you see the highlights and see the replay of what he did, he basically took a swing at the ball instead of just quickly simply guiding it into the net. And it would have been an easy one because he was wide open in that 12-yard area.
Yeah, he definitely should have scored it. He knows he should have scored it. Robbo knows he should have scored it. Actually, let's just play my favourite bit from Robbo post-game. Where he's been praising Gershon for his goal, which we're going to come to in a sec. Then he also had this little word for Gershon as well.
It's a beauty today, it really was. And he missed a sitter as well, just so I'll keep his feet on the ground.
So as we said, Gershon really should have put the Whitecaps in the lead there. 12 minutes later, though, he did.
Yeah.
Found the back of the net with a screamer, an unstoppable 25-plus yard effort that just beat Romando all ends up nestling nicely into the postage stamp corner.
Yeah, he stripped the ball of our favorite little guy, a favorite little guy to hate, Plata. Stripped the ball of him.
Very quick thinking by Koffie to do that.
Yeah, it took one touch and just ripped it into the top corner. Romando, maybe if he's 6'4", he has a chance to stop it, but at that point, no way that he was going to stop that ball.
And I asked Gershon after the game how the goal played out to him, and he said he saw the ball coming to Plata. He knew that he couldn't turn inside because there was too many players there. So the only thing he could do was turn to the outside. So really good anticipation from Koffie to know that Plata was going to do that.
And vision as well.
Yeah, pounced on the loose ball. Brilliant strike. And that's the thing. We know that Koffie has that in his locker.
Yeah.
We know that he can.
He's done it about 4 or 5 times in the past.
But it's the inconsistency of it all. For every one that he does like that, he's maybe got 9 or 10 that just go wayward and flying all over the place.
And the thing is, he doesn't need to score every time. He just needs to get on net because there's a number of players will be around the box who can deposit it in. Similar to the Caleb Clark goal you're going to see today, because one of the players shot the ball in from distance. Caleb Clark stayed on side. The goalkeeper wasn't able to gather it. He deposited in. Same thing with what Koffie can provide. Get the ball on net, and they could score goals that way. Garbage goals, basically.
And it's the inconsistency of him that's really frustrating. It frustrates me, it has for a couple of years now. It frustrates Carl Robinson as well, and he made mention of that after the game. The fact that he can play great for one game, but he can never seem to really string a set of games together. He'll play good for one game, then have a couple of games where he just disappears. And Carroll basically says if he can find that consistency, that's the difference between where he is just now and making him one of the best players in MLS. But it's frustrating that he's not doing that. And he's been like this for a couple of seasons now, and it's this inconsistency that basically stops him now being a regular starter under Carl Robinson.
Yeah, maybe this is the turnaround point where he can provide some consistency, because he's might get a few games here and there where he's going to be starting more with Tiber going to Gold Cup and everything like that. So it's a chance for him to provide it. And this is a good time to do it because they need him badly.
Yes, it's a chance, but can he take that chance? How many times have we said, oh, he's got a goal now, this is the time for him to be more consistent and make his mark in this team? He's still let down a lot as well by his lack of discipline and the amount of bookings that he picks up. But anyway, well done Gershon getting the goal. I don't want to sound like I'm piling on to him there. But the Whitecaps had a couple of chances to add to that. They didn't. And they were made to pay. The joy was short-lived. Right on the stroke of half-time, Real Salt Lake tie it up one apiece. Fantastic free kick by Javier Morales.
It was a bullet. It was a blast. Almost unstoppable. But you had an issue with the wall being the way it was lined up.
For me, the way that Ousted lined his wall up was shocking, and it's not like Ousted to do that. He left such a big gap to the right of the wall. And you should check out some of the photos we have on AFTN from Residual Image. Tom captures it brilliantly. The way that Morales hit the free kick, the wall would have to have been over several feet for it to have made any difference. But even if it had been over a few more feet, it could have made him think a little bit more.
I know, it would have made him adjust something.
I think he just saw the gap there, and he's the kind of guy that takes that. And he definitely made the most of his opportunity. Him and Koffie and Papa from Seattle are going to be battling it out, I think, for the goal of the week contender.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the three. At this point, I'd probably give it to Evil Morales at this point. That was basically just before the half. You were hoping that it didn't, destroy the morale of the Whitecaps. They came out, though. The RSL seemed to carry it a little bit, but then they were going back and forth. Like you said, it was end-to-end action at that point. The one big chance that they had, the Whitecaps had initially, was the Rivero chance when Labo found him over the top. And Rivero took his chance, went right at the goalie and just shot it straight out, really hard down low. And Raimondo was able to get down and deflect it wide.
It was a good stop from Raimondo, and it's like what we've seen him do in MLS time and time again. So you have to give credit to the keeper. But Rivero has to score in a situation like that, especially when it's on a bit of a goal drought. And he wants to play at a higher level than MLS. He said that when he came here. He's using MLS as a stepping stone to get some more skills, maybe move into one of the big leagues in Europe. And it's finishing chances like that is the difference between a guy making it in Europe and a guy just playing in MLS and maybe some of the lower leagues across the world. If you can't finish those chances on a regular basis, you're not going to make that next step up.
No. But then you had then later on in the match, the Ousted came up huge. It was a corner set piece by RSL, got over to Vasquez. Vasquez had the top corner all to himself, headed it right into the best spot, but Ousted came up, dived, got a fist to it and bumped it out. Fantastic stop by him.
Yeah, not for the first time this season. Ousted comes up with the big game-turning moment. You had a horrible feeling that the miss by Rivero was going to be that game-turning moment. Thankfully, it didn't prove to be that way. And, Ousted came up with a fantastic stop, basically clawing it off the line. Morales was behind him. He may have headed it off the line, but it's another save of the week contender for Ousted, and it just gave the Whitecaps momentum to kind of push on, and they certainly did, forcing string after string of corners.
And then going forward, there was a moment in the 70th minute where they were just like piling on corners. It was like 8 corners in a matter of 5 minutes. But they only got one chance of it, but they were putting the pressure on the RSL at that point.
Yeah, the RSL defence, it was bending. But that's the thing with the Whitecaps this year. They've been really poor at set pieces. They haven't scored from a corner. They did score from a free kick last week in Colorado, but of course that didn't count.
Yeah.
But they have been struggling with set pieces, and it's surprising when You saw that you had Kah and Wasson at the start of the season. You thought, oh, that aerial threat, that's going to get them so many goals off corners.
And Rivero too.
And they just haven't done it. I mean, both Kendall and Pa yesterday had a number of chances, which was good to see. But you kind of feel that once one of them or both of them get their first goal, that maybe it's going to open the floodgates a bit. But that's the difference for me between the Whitecaps being a team like Seattle, like LA, that's constantly at the top of the table, which, for now, the joint top of the West at the time of recording this. And they need to stay there. They have to take the chances. They have to be better in the final third, and they have to score goals from set pieces, which they're just not doing.
Yeah, but 2-3 minutes later, they were able to score. It was a fantastic finish by Teixeira. Finally, the bug came and scored. Laba was able to cross the ball into the box. Rivero got to it, headed it high up in the air, and that's where the mistake happened by RSL, where Vasquez thought he was supposed to he was going to chest it down to Raimondo. Raimondo, thinking Vasquez was going to clear the ball, just bump it out. Both guys got their wires crossed. Teixeira took the advantage, was stopped initially, followed up, and just slipped it into the empty net.
Yeah, it was another great bit of anticipation by a Whitecaps player, Teixeira this time. The look on Vasquez's face as a picture, try and see that in the TV replays, or again, go to AFTN, look at Tom's photos, and it's just, you can see Vasquez go, no! Yeah. And after the game, Raimondo said it was just a language difference. There was a communication breakdown. I don't know how, because it was obvious what Vasquez was trying to do. Raimondo, for me, was the one at fault there. Some folk are saying Vasquez should just have booted the ball away, but I think what he was trying to do was the right thing, and just Raimondo was too slow.
Yeah, you'll hear from the coach Cassar in a second here. He's the one that mentioned that's their rule always. Balls in that area, just bump it out. Don't even bother with it.
I mean, it was great for Teixeira. Showed great anticipation, as we said. Nipped in. Looked like Raimondo had maybe thwarted him to start with, but then rounded him, slotted it home nicely. Huge weight off his back. He's got that first goal now. He's got better and better as the weeks have gone on, and I think that's going to be just give him the confidence now to just get even better with this Whitecaps side. And for me, he's now the starting left midfielder. Yeah,
definitely. I don't see anybody taking him out at this point, because especially with Mané struggles when he does start, so it would be definitely a Teixeira going forward. And the thing that impressed about me, he didn't slow down after that first stop. He continued with his run and got the ball and slipped it in. Some players, I'll mention Maddox, who maybe get stopped initially, will put their head in their hands and just lament that first miss, but he didn't. He went all forward and got the goal. I was worried he was going to get squashed there by the Whitecaps player.
A big pylon. I was showing my wife the goal when I got home, and she was like, "Oh my God, they're all jumping on him."
Yeah, and he's only 5'2", so luckily he wasn't squashed like a bug. But you got definitely a big goal and got the 3 points.
Yeah, match-winning goal. Caps held on nicely, saw the game out well, which was good. So before we talk any more about some of the individual player performances, let's hear a little bit from Carl Robinson after the game. You can find his full audio on the Whitecaps website. And Steve, you headed to the RSL locker room and spoke to RSL head coach Jeff Cassar. So good to get that win with the big road trip coming up.
Very important, I think. I was dreading coming in here and saying to you guys, we played really well, but we didn't win. Because that's the frustration I felt after 45 minutes, because I thought we were absolutely excellent in the first 45 minutes without scoring more than one goal. And they're dangerous off set plays and set pieces, and I knew they would be, and we were giving up one or two silly free kicks, and if you give Morales an opportunity, he scores. So I was disappointed, but pleased. But it was an important win.
That's some of the best players that we've seen for maybe the whole season for the team.
It is, and we can do that. Whether we can score enough goals to win games has been the big question. And as I said to the guys in there today, and openly at half time, I said, well played, but I'm sick of saying well played, but we're not winning. Let's go out and challenge. And after the game, it was nice because I said the group can go to a very special place if they really believe they can and want to. And today I found out a lot about them, and it was pleasing for them because, as he said, it was an important win.
We did enough to get a win or a result, and we made enough bad plays to walk out of here with nothing.
What did you think of the winning goal and score?
Really unhappy. I thought Elias had a very good game for the most part in that game. He's a new player. He's a Hispanic player who maybe the communication with our Raimondo wasn't the best. But, at that junction of the game, it's boom, get it out of, it's the risk to reward. We talk about it all the time, and it's a learning experience. But I thought he had a very good game.
Did the sun in Raimondo's, I know it wasn't Nick's fault, but it was the sun in his eyes maybe caused a little bit of miscommunication there?
I don't know. I haven't exactly spoke to him on about what happened, but that should be a simple play. Just boom, get it out. You chest it down, get it out.
4 of your next 5 games are on at home. This is a chance to get some points and
yeah. It's been hard for us this year to get a rhythm. It's one away, one at home, one away, one at home, 2 away, 2, and so you can use these home games to really get on a streak and get going, and we're going to have to do that.
So what is it about Vancouver that your team seems to struggle here?
The refs.
Aside from refs.
Well, I didn't think we struggled tonight. We didn't get the result, but you look at everything, and I think we played a very good game. Same thing in LA. We were all over them for long stretches of time, and we're doing things to shoot ourselves in the foot. But if we don't give up PKs, we don't give up set play goals, we don't get red cards, we're a pretty good team. But when you gift goals, it's tough to get results.
So, like we said, a fantastic return to winning ways for the Whitecaps. Really good to get another win at home after all their home woes so far this year. Let's look at some of the individual players. Now, we touched on Mane just before we went to the coach's audio there. He didn't start, but he came off the bench and again for 20 minutes looked electric. And for me, that's how I would use Mane going forward for the next few games. Just keep him on the bench, have him as that impact player, because when he starts, he's just not cutting it for me.
Yeah, he basically, I thought he might have to start on one of these games against either LA or Montreal because of to give somebody else a rest. But overall, I think he will do well coming off the bench, and hopefully maybe it sends a message to him and he does better when he does get his start.
Quick look at the defence, starting with Ousted. Another fantastic, strong performance by him.
Yeah, no question. He had a shout again for the man of the match. There was no doubt. It was just on that one save, and he controlled the box. There was very little chance on the goal by Morales, but overall, and so I thought he did a fantastic job in the game. How about the other defenders? Well, I thought Waston and Ka really another game where they both played well. I don't see any problems with their game at all in this one.
No, I like what they did. Wasn't really any scary moments from either of them. I liked Harvey as well, and something which people probably won't have really picked up that much is when Mane came on, Harvey did really well. There was a couple of times he was telling Kikuta where to run, where to be positioned on the pitch, and it set up a couple of chances for the Whitecaps in the process.
Yeah, he attacked it. I thought Beitashour was a little disappointing though.
I always do. So.
Yeah, I thought, but maybe it was just a matter of because he's still coming off that knock, and they don't want him moving up the pitch, and then he has to all of a sudden recover coming back. So maybe there was a reason behind that. But overall, I think Harvey was the better of the two fullbacks. And then we talked about Koffie already at length. Laba, I thought, was another strong game from him. He wasn't overly aggressive in this game. He hung back, and obviously If people want to give out that second assist, he got the second assist on the Chichera goal.
So it looks like the front four is pretty much set. It's a South American front four.
Yeah.
We're going to have Rosales on the right, Teixeira on the left, Morales in the middle, Octavio up front. In a perfect world, depending on games and being on the road and like 2 games in a week and all that kind of stuff, that looks like the favoured front four.
Yeah, but although, like you were saying, you got them position-wise, in the certain spots, they seem to flow.
Rosales kind of swapped a couple of times.
Not only that, was a couple of times those two wingers they played in the middle a couple of times, and Morales moved out to the wide. What did you think about Morales in that game in his play? I thought he was all right.
He was average,
but he didn't have that one shining. Wasn't one of those great moments, but he wasn't he didn't disappear at all during the game, which I think is a positive as well.
I think the best thing I can say about Morales is that I didn't really notice him, good or bad. So I mean, so that's good. Now, what did you make of Rivero's performance?
I thought he played well. Yes, he should have finished that goal, but overall I thought he did well in holding up the ball. It brought guys like Morales, Rosales, and Teixeira into the game, into the attack, and he kept the defenders off them so that they weren't able to get to him, and it forced the RSL to midfielders to come back and mark those guys a little deeper, so they didn't have very much going in the attack.
I mean, one of the things I noticed was at set pieces, especially corners, Rivero was playing either at the back of the box or at the top of the box, and he wasn't the one that was going in for the headers. And we've seen that he's good in the air, but he was kind of there for when the ball came out and kind of
loose ball, mop it up.
And that's an interesting tactic that I think will pay off as the season goes on.
Well, it makes sense because the guys you want in the mixer, as the people say, are the rough and tumble guys. Rivero's more of a skill guy, so he can probably gather that ball up and try to deposit it in the net through the crowd. But overall, I thought it was a good performance, like you said.
Now, for me, my man of the match, I know Koffie got it. I would have given it to Teixeira or to Rosales. The play of both of them throughout the game when they were on the pitch.
Their movement was fantastic.
Yeah, their movement was great. They were dangerous throughout. I just thought Mauro was really onto his game. He took a couple of kicks that kind of made me kind of flinch a little bit, just with the injury troubles that he's had this year. But I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, no, his movement was fantastic. He knew when to cross it in. He sent in the good balls. He seemed to play off whoever was defending him and be able to move and escape him. He was going up a lot against the newcomer, the homegrown guy for RSL, Glad. And while Glad had, he had a decent game, but Rosales was able to make space for himself and be more creative.
I think one of the things as well that we should acknowledge is it wasn't a full-strength RSL side.
Yeah,
they had two games in 4 days.
They had a very strong bench, though.
Yeah, very strong bench. Very young team out there, very inexperienced team. And they've been prone to make defensive errors, and they made defensive errors again. But just going back to Rosales, the other thing that Rosales can do is he can play this number 10 role, which is going to give Pedro a break, or maybe give Pedro a chance to play in a slightly different position on the pitch.
And get him away from those defenders that always seem to be kicking at him.
So, talking of Mauro, you might have read my chat I had with him on MLSsoccer.com last week. That was just part of a long chat we had. We talked for about 8 minutes. So we're going to play you the full interview just now. Just talking about his injuries this season, playing the number 10 role. A little bit as well, we spoke before Saturday's game about what's maybe been wrong with their home form and just how good can this Whitecaps team be. So here is Mauro Rosales. So Mauro, you've had a tough year so far with injuries, just the way that things have worked out. First thing to really ask you, how are you feeling now after everything that's happened?
In this moment in the process of recovery, I have a bruised rib, but I guess I have to get used to the last couple of games that I was on it. I was hit very hard, so I have to be careful in that place, not going too strong or too probably lighter into the place, and try to avoid the injury. It's not funny to be recovering all the time from something. I have very serious injury in my ankle and also now in the rib, but I hope it's the last one. I hope it's the last one and I can go free pain through the games and try to help the team the best I can.
Now, I know no one deliberately goes out to target a player, but the way that it's looked this year, it's like because you're one of the flair players on the team, do you feel you've attracted more attention? And that I've never seen, like last season, you didn't get as many players tackling you, but then there was the injury against Chicago, and then as soon as you came back against Salt Lake, there was that tackle as well, and then against Philly, you limped off. Have you felt that you've had more attention this year?
I don't know. Probably I'm getting more involved into the middle where it's too crowded for players, and I'm easily the target from them to get me down. But I don't know if they are just trying to do that. I hope that it's not like that. But I'm easy target in the middle, just in the position where I play, always coming somebody from behind, always coming somebody to get the ball in, probably in the in a full speed like I did, and always became dangerous every single play that I made. But obviously I have to be careful, like I told you before, try to be more smart, get away from them, and avoid these tackles.
Now, you came back on Saturday down in Colorado and you played the number 10 role. Now, you looked really good in that. I mean, it seems really suited for your game because you're quick with the 1-2 passes. Do you prefer playing more in the middle than out in the wing?
I like both. It's just playing in the right, I have the option to go to the middle, and sometimes I do it. If I see the space there, if it's not Pedro or the guy that's playing in the middle over there, I can just sneak out and put me in the number 10 position, and also let Betancur to go in the flanks, just going over me. But there's options. There are options that the coach has. Also, he knows that they can play there. I feel really confident just getting more balls, trying to let the team play and going forward. We create many chances in Colorado, even playing away. So it's an option that we have, and as soon as the coaches want it, and I will be able to help the team.
Now, I know it must have been really difficult for you watching all the games from the sidelines this year, but from sitting there, it's given you an idea to see how the team's been playing. What have you made of the play in recent weeks? What is it, do you feel, maybe hasn't been clicking, or what's happening in the final third?
I guess our, let's say, problem, but it's not the problem, it's probably that we cannot keep the same intense that how we start the games and to end the games, or when we have the game on hand, we are too confident to don't shut out that game and just let them come back. Sometimes we have to just play more smart, just more calm, not trying to go back and forth all the time, because that is gonna put us in the position to let them create options, these risky positions that we use, because we are too many guys to attack, and we let the central midfielders alone. So having the result in our hands, we have to be more smart to be in the shape, in the correct shape to hold the games and to control the game and keep the possession of the ball. This is the best way to us to complete the games, but we are not doing that. We want to score 5 goals in every game, and we can't do that. So I think this is one of the reasons that we probably taking some risks that we don't have.
The home form for the team, it hasn't been that good compared to on the road. What do you think's behind that? Is it just that teams are like they're almost playing like how you play on the road at BC Place, and you're struggling to break them down? They
play in the same way that we play in the road, but also, like I told you before, we get excited because we wanted to let the fans enjoy the game, enjoy our team scoring and going forward on creating chances, and probably this is the time that we should make a pause and just control the game, not just going back and forth, because the games in home, they're going, you attack, the other team's attacks, they're going like crazy all the time for the most of the game, and this is not the way that we wanted to play. And sometimes we got the result easily because we score fast, or in the moment that the other team is playing better, we score, so we can control the game in that way. But it was always, we get excited to be in home, and we try to score right away, and we have to understand that the game is 90 minutes, and you win if you score in the 90 minutes, or if you score in the first, it worth the same. So we have to be a little bit more smart in that point.
I mean, you've been in MLS, this will be your 5th season now. From the teams you've seen before that you've been with, how good do you think this team is, and how far, how deep can they go this year, do you think?
One of the best, for sure. One of the best. They have the quality, they have the youth, they have the experience. So the players, they have young players with experience, and this team is going to the right way. I play against many teams, but this one is one of the best that to face. I think it's no one's want to face the team that is all the time pressing, all the time getting the ball, good players, tough defenders. It's a difficult team to beat. We show that in playing in the road. We show that playing home against good teams. So we need just get a little bit more. Like I told you before, just be a little bit more smart. But this become because we are a young team, not me, but the team is pretty much every player is young. So the exciting that they have all the time to go forward. Sometimes we have to calm down, just be smart, and just control the game.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck. Thanks, Mauro.
So that was Mauro Rosales talking to Michael before the game, obviously. One of the things that might help Mauro stay injury-free is a better turf. And the Whitecaps did play on that new BC Place turf for the first time yesterday. Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to train on it. But overall, the feelings were mixed. I was in the RSL dressing room, and we had Ramondo saying that, you know, it was something that probably needs to get worked in a little bit. Beckerman hated it. He was talking to Tyler Green about that.
Beckerman basically said it doesn't matter what turf you have down there, it's going to be crappy, which seems a little bit strange.
No, he said it was the worst in MLS, essentially.
I mean, Beckerman strikes me as somebody that likes grass.
Yeah, I was surprised about that. And then the coach essentially said, you know, his shoes got dirty, so that was all he had to say about it.
Yeah, and Robbo's shoes got green as well, so it kind of spoiled his fashionista kind of look.
Yeah, but overall, it looked really green. It looked good on TV, so maybe that's why maybe they picked this one, so it looks good for the World Cup. But overall, I think it needs to get worked in, and I think that'll happen over the next little bit. It definitely will happen by the time the Whitecaps play on it again.
Oh yeah, I mean the women are going to get it nicely worked in for when the Whitecaps get back on July 12th. So at least that's one good thing about being on the road. I felt it was very slippy, as if it had been like overwatered.
They were saying it actually needs to be watered more.
Really? I'm surprised to hear that they said that, because it looked really slippy to me. Players were falling over all over the place.
But they were talking about the dust coming up. The dust, like,
there was a lot of dust.
And I actually, after I went to the RSL locker room, I did go onto the turf and check it out. There was a lot of dust. There was another journalist there as well, and on the bottom of her shoe, it got green really quickly. On mine, it wasn't too bad, but on hers, it was just by stepping on it a couple steps. So it was definitely an issue, and some of the players were complaining that they got blinded by it as well. It got in their eyes.
Wow. I mean, on TV, it looked great. It looked really, really green. Yeah. Which is what, I mean, it's like HD ready turf or something, that is what they were saying it was. And BC Place is now one of only 3 stadiums throughout the whole world that actually has that kind of pitch. Bayern Munich actually have it in Hoffenheim in one of the training facilities.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it looked that good in person. It looks good on TV. It still looked really patchy to me in person. I just didn't like the look of it at all.
I think it might have got rushed. I think they still probably need to work on it and get it all like melded together. So I think that's still going to happen over time.
It kind of looked like it was already marked out for NFL or CFL lines, which obviously it wasn't. Yeah. But it's just the way that the strips had been laid. I
think it's still giving some time. We'll see when the World Cup kicks off, see how it looks at that point.
Yeah, we'll also see once there's been a few monster truck shows on it as well. But I mean, all in all, great to have the new turf. I mean, the Whitecaps are unbeaten on it now. Let's hope they can keep that going. So after getting used to playing on this turf pitch, the Whitecaps now have 2 more games coming up in quick succession, and they'll actually be on grass. Yeah. They head to Montreal on Wednesday. They head to LA on Saturday, and I think the one thing we can be sure of is with 3 games in 8 days, it's going to be a little bit more squad rotation.
Yeah, definitely squad rotation. Obviously, this is going to be their first game of 5 straight on the road.
They do have a bye week in there as well, which helps a little.
A lot, yeah. I think it helps a lot because that's going to be from LA. They don't want to go all the way back to New York a week later. So, but overall, I think there will be squad rotation. as if you were watching the WFC2 game, Rodriguez and Parker started as center backs. They came off at halftime.
So you can maybe read into that. I mean, Diego is going to play on Wednesday. You have to think it's going to be Diego starting beside Kendall. And maybe with Parker coming off at half-time, maybe they've got an eye on him playing at right back instead of Beitashour.
Exactly, and I think the reason why they want to do that is because maybe Beitashour is a little hurt and they don't want him travelling unnecessarily for those games.
Keep him for the big game against LA, the more experienced guy.
Yeah. Let's look over this road trip really quickly, and what are your expectations of this road trip? You got, obviously, like we said, Montreal, LA next week off, New England, New York, and then Colorado to finish it off before coming back to play Kansas City.
There's definitely points that are very, very much up for grabs there. Montreal, they've got a chance of going there if they play a strong enough team and get all 3 points. I'd be happy with a draw there. LA, not expecting anything from that at all. New York, that's going to be a tough one as well. New England, that's going to be an exciting end-to-end game. I think they could get a draw out of that, and then hopefully round off the trip with 3 points in Colorado. They have to beat Colorado.
That's essential.
For me, 5 games, 15 points up for grabs. If they can take anything 6 or more, I'd be happy with that.
I'm thinking that the 2 games you want to win are the bookend games. Montreal, the first one here, and then the last one against Colorado. If they could pick up either a win or a draw, maybe after the bye week, that would be really beneficial.
I mean, the way that the Whitecaps' home form has been, it's maybe not so bad to actually get on the road because they're playing really well on the road. They've never lost by more than 1 goal on the road so far this season. So I know it's not a pretty game to watch, but you can't entertain all the time. It's like, basically, it's all about the wins.
Yeah.
And I don't care how the Whitecaps get the wins as long as they get the wins.
Just muck it out on the road and get the victory.
So how important is this trip going to be? And is it actually an advantage to be on the road? That's actually something I asked Robbo. So let's hear what he had to say about that.
With the way that the teams played on the road, is it maybe not as daunting as it would have been in previous seasons to do this trip?
Even last year, going on the road wasn't that daunting for us, because we played well at times without getting results. Good teams are able to grind and dig out results away from home, and we've done that so far this year, but it can change at the drop of a hat. We know that. We know we're a decent team on the road. We're hard to beat. If we do the small jobs very well, we got chances, because we will create chances. Whether we'll take our chances, last game we did, which was why we won the game. The game before we didn't, which is why we lost the game. So it's going to be, again, fine lines.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra.
Don't press stop just yet. We have a little bit of extra for you here. Following Monday night's CONCACAF Champions League draw, which I'm sure we were all glued to, especially for the ball girls who were absolutely fantastic. It's something that I think would brighten up everything in life, just having girls in skin-tight black dresses just doing things for you. We hope to maybe have them on the podcast just to be our helpers, because obviously they've got nothing to do now for another year. But the draw was made. Maybe not quite what everyone was wanting. I know that most of us were really hoping that we might get a trip to Mexico out of it, especially Club America, Azteca Stadium. Spoke to Jordan Harvey on Monday at training, and we just kind of talked about what the various scenarios were possibly going to be, and when we were discussing that he might have the chance to play at the Azteca, he said just even talking to me about it, he was getting goosebumps. So that's what it would have meant to the players to play on the big stage of that. It is kind of disappointing in the Whitecaps' first ever Champions League campaign that they're facing a familiar foe. Seattle Sounders, there are a lot of positives for it. For one, a lot more Whitecaps fans can definitely make a trip and see their first ever away Champions League game. I know I'm really excited to see that, so that's good. Short travel in what is going to be a horrendously busy month. Fixtures aren't out yet, but we know that the games are going to be played in August, September and October. If the Whitecaps end up having 2 games in August, then they're going to have a 9-game month. Horrendous, really hard to cope with, going to push the Whitecaps' strength of their depth, their basic squad strength, to the max, really. And talking of that, I asked Carroll at training on Monday whether he had any plans to make some additions to the squad in the transfer window in July, with the multitude of matches that's coming up in August in mind. So let's just hear what Robbo had to say about that.
With how busy the club's going to be in August going forward, what's your plans for the transfer window? Do you expect to be busy in that and make more additions?
No, we're at the full complement at the moment, so there's not going to be probably too much movement on that. We are looking at certain players with a keen eye on them. There's a number of players out of contract at the moment, which we all know about, and their agents will be touting around to every single club in Major League Soccer, and I'm sure the LA's and the New York will be top of the list like they are with most people. But we'll do our business quietly. We'll get on with it, and we know who we'd like to identify now in January as well. We're trying to be steps ahead of certain people because we can't compete in certain ways. So we'll just be proactive rather than reactive.
So as we say, Seattle in the Champions League, 2 games against them, home and away. Going to be a fantastic atmosphere at BC Place, fantastic atmosphere at the Clink. In many ways, it's very fitting that the Whitecaps and the Sounders have been drawn together for this campaign. It's a Cascadia group, Group F. I think we all know what the F stands for. And it just adds to the storied history of the two teams. They've played games against each other since 1974 in NASL, in APSL, in USL, MISL even, and now into the MLS era. Now, even further, going into the Champions League era. So it's going to be a great occasion. Hopefully the Whitecaps will get the better of them and advance to the quarterfinals. Then we can maybe get our dream tie in Mexico, or maybe a nice trip to the sunshine in the Caribbean. For now though, I'm packing away my mankini. I might wear it down to the Clink, but not sure how it would really go down in Seattle. Or perhaps it would be me that was going down, probably from the top floor of the stadium. The Whitecaps sent Bobby Lenarduzzi down to the draw on Monday, and he did a conference call after the event with a few of us. I was a little bit worried when those girls came out drawing the balls. I thought, Bobby's an old man now, it might not be good for his ticker and all that, but he was fine, he survived. He came onto the conference call to talk about the fact that the Whitecaps have got Seattle. Also, we shouldn't overlook the third team in the group, Honduran champions CD Olympia. They've been Honduran champions 28 times. This is their 8th Champions League campaign. Very experienced team. I think we all know that playing in Honduras, it's a whole different atmosphere. Something that the Whitecaps aren't used to. The Whitecaps do have the advantage that they have a number of South Americans in their team, and I think that the Whitecaps are a team built for Champions League success. Dealing with those hostile environments, dealing with the crowds, throwing bags of piss, throwing God knows what, shining lasers on you. It's something, it's never easy to kind of face, but it's something that I think that the Whitecaps players are going to be ready for. So let's hear now from Whitecaps president Bobby Lenarduzzi, just talking about the Champions League draw and what it means to Vancouver Whitecaps.
It couldn't be any closer and couldn't be any farther away almost, right? Well, and to add to that, it probably couldn't be any more competitive. I think we've definitely got the most difficult group of the 8. You've got the Honduran champions and the Supporters Shield champions. So there is some benefit to it being Seattle in that it's a bus ride, but at the same time, it'll be extremely competitive. And Olympia, been there 8 times, got to the quarterfinals last year, and so neither will be an easy game.
Bobby, have you tried to prevent Carl from watching the YouTube videos of the Tegucigalpa airport?
He knows all about that, and so do I. Yes.
Would you fly in there, do you think?
I would think so, yeah. I'm not sure there's any other way to get there, and that's the short runway, right?
That's some teams have flown in the other one and bussed actually to Tegucigalpa.
Well, now that we know where we're going, we'll obviously we'll figure out when we're going, and then look at routes to get in there. And I mean, there's been plenty discussed about the airport, but I don't believe there's had any real serious incidents there. So soon we're going to get there and be in for a difficult match. I've had plenty of experience in Honduras as a player and a coach, and the one thing that you do get there is you get a fantastic atmosphere. So we've got that to look forward to.
Just wondering, when you saw that it was going to be Seattle, What was the first thought that came into your head?
I was actually quite pleased. I haven't spoken to Carl yet, so I'm not sure how he feels, but I do feel that with the fixture congestion that we're likely to have, and doesn't necessarily mean that we're playing them in August, but it could be August, September, October that the games take place. But regardless, the fact that it's a short hop is something that is beneficial, and that's obviously countered by the fact that they are a very good side, and I'm assuming that we'll all either be fighting for, or at least the two of us will be fighting for playoff spots or the Supporters' Shield, so that there'll be something on the line in terms of MLS play that once we get close to the fixtures, then you're going to have to start determining what your lineups are, and but it'll be the same for all MLS clubs that are involved in Champions League.
Can you just take us through what happens now? How the actual schedule is determined?
Yeah, there's dates that have been allocated for the competition to take place, and then it comes down to stadium availability, potential fixture conflicts, and those dates will be established over the next. I'm sure it won't take all that long, but it'll be at least a week to 2 weeks, and potentially a little longer to sort all of that out.
Playing Seattle, do you think it helps you that you're very familiar with that side, or do you think it'll be harder because they'll know you just as well?
The one thing that is a blessing is the distance. We could have got a Mexican club or even another MLS club. It could have been DC, and all of a sudden then you're traveling to the east. So that definitely is a benefit, but we know, and as recently as 3 weeks ago, they came into Vancouver and looked a very good side, and so they are one of the best teams in MLS. So the fact that it is a short distance is a benefit, but you're also playing against one of the best teams in MLS.
Now, I know it's really early logistically to look at this, but is the Seattle game maybe a kind of game that you would look at opening up extra seats for at BC Place?
Yeah, it is early, and it will be obviously a midweek fixture. So I think we'll play it by ear at this point, and probably determine. I don't anticipate that we will be opening up more seats for that match. So I think we just carry on the basis of how we've been adopting our position thus far, and that is we just hope to put 21,000 people in there for the game. And I think in that regard, it actually is a good fixture from the point of view of the level of interest that there should be. And then similarly from the Honduran side, they're a good side, good Central American side. But I know that when I was coaching Canada and we played Honduras at Swangard, that we actually did have a number of Hondurans there that were either from Vancouver or close enough that they made an effort to get here. So, that is something that ideally will be reflected in the number of people that attend the match.
Anyway, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Until next time, Steve, just let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
And I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read all our stuff, AFTN, aftn.ca. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com. So until next time, thanks for listening, take care, and as always, Mon the Caps.
When you're listening on some far-flung corner of the globe to the World Service of a Saturday afternoon, crackly reception, interference, cosy, marvellous. Somehow comforting, isn't it? Legendary names, fathers and sons on the terraces, cheesy peas at half-time, pint for Dad, Mum's at home making the tea. Oh, everything's all right with the world, isn't it? Saturday afternoon is football.
10 minutes left, yeah, but